Brittney Griner released, but she was traded for the merchant of death, Victor Boot, the guy who they did the film Lord of War, where he sold like 30,000 AKs to guerrilla drug dealers who were killing DEA agents. So we traded him for her, and this guy was responsible for countless deaths of Americans.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why do I have a feeling if President Trump were in office, it would have been handled so much better?
Because you're stupid. That's why you have that feeling. Now, of course, Whelan could have been negotiated for release by Donald Trump because he was imprisoned under Donald Trump's watch and he did nothing about it. So let's move off the Donald Trump talking point for a moment and hear what else Kari Lake has to say.
It's a bad trade. I think most Americans, like we said, most Americans are happy that Brittney Griner is home, obviously, and just think that, hey, you know what? That's a bad trade, and we made a trade from a position of weakness, not of strength. So I think that's how most people line up.
If I were, being held in a, the conditions looked horrible, by the way. I mean, she's so big and tall, and she's in literally, they look like they keep the prisoners in a cage.
Yeah.
And so the conditions were obviously horrible. But if you told me we're going to release you for this guy, I would maybe say, you know what? Let me stay a little bit longer. Keep working on that negotiation. Let's see if we can find something a little bit more level.
Does anyone really believe that? Does anyone really think that if Kari Lake were a prisoner in Russia and there were an opportunity for her to be released in exchange for the merchant of death, she'd be like, you know what? No, I'm good. In fact, I will remain in prison until you can get a better deal. Does anyone believe that?
Yeah, 0% of people. Instead, she'd be like, oh my God, I'm a political prisoner because of Biden. He won't have me released. He should trade the entire country for me. Okay, come on. These are all entitled little pricks, these Republicans. And they're so selfish, so obsessed with themselves. Don't ever realize that there's a problem until it happens to them. I mean, look at what she just said. It looks like we're keeping her in a cage. Yeah, that's kind of how prisons work. Like, she's like, I don't know, I've never been in prison, so I don't, what is a prison like? They have no empathy for any other human being ever. And let's keep it real, guys. A lot of our members have been writing this in already, but like and I read it to you guys during the break. She's black, she's gay, she's strong, she's everything that the Republicans hate. So they're like, oh my God, that's all we got. There was a white male in prison in Russia we could have gotten instead. So that's a part of it. I think it's actually a relatively small part of it, but it is a part of it because they have no empathy for her.
Well, I mean, I think it's baked into, the judgment is baked into what Kari Lake was saying there, because she's essentially judging Brittney Griner for, I don't know, I guess, allowing herself to be released through this prisoner exchange agreement, right? Like, because that's what Kari Lake is saying. If it were me, I would want what's best for the globe, for the world, and I would not want the merchants of death to be released. So I would stay in a penal colony in Russia to get a better deal. No, I don't believe it for a second. I don't think anyone actually believes it for a second.
Well, the voters of Arizona said that they preferred the other candidate and voted her in. And you said, that she's a victim. I don't care what's good for Arizona, I care what's good for me.
100%.
Okay, I don't like that I lost the election, so I'm gonna pretend it's illegitimate and cry about it for weeks and weeks. Please spare me. I don't know any Republican that isn't massively selfish. I mean, there's a lot of ones that are like in different camps. Oh, we hate gay people, we're racist, we're this, we're that. But one thing that binds almost all Republicans together is greed.
Now, that wasn't the only reaction that you might have come across today. There was also a segment on Real America's Voice featuring a woman named Karyn Turk, okay? And
not part of the Young Turks.
She definitely not. And she is not a fan of Griner. In fact, calls her names, seems to think that she didn't deserve to be released. Let's hear what she had to say.
I want to add in Tennessee Cowgirl, who's saying they need to release all the J6ers. How about people who maybe did something really small and they've been in that DC gulag for over a year in some cases. And so think about the priorities of this administration and how far they're off. But you brought us
it's really sad. Like you think about all of these people, these Americans that are sitting in jail in a gulag.
Yeah. And we release this Russian arms dealer.
Entitled, spoiled brat.
So she believes, they believe, everyone on that panel believes that Brittney Griner should still be imprisoned in Russia over less than a gram of cannabis oil. But January 6th rioters who broke into the Capitol building, who beat up Capitol police officers and Metro police officers, they're the innocent ones. And they're in a gulag and should be released immediately.
You know what we should have done, Anna? I got the perfect solution for them. We should have included them in the prisoner swap. You get the Merchant of Venice plus all the J6 sedition rioters, okay? Congratulations, you get all of the guys who committed treason against America. Russia would love that. And by the way, the guys who hated America so much that they attacked our capital, they would probably love that. They get to go back to their homeland. Go to Russia, leave the country. They literally attacked our capital. Some of them were literally convicted of treason, okay? Okay. So they hate America, so why don't you leave? That's what the right wing always says.
Let's also just address the spoiled, entitled brat comment, because Brittney Griner would go play basketball in Russia because the pay for the WNBA is so abysmal here. In fact, 90 out of 144 WNBA players end up going to Russia during their off season so they can earn enough money to live. But she's an entitled brat, right? She's entitled for being a person who has to live under a system where she has to literally go to a foreign country to make enough money.
Yeah.
During the off season, yeah.
Yeah, and so, by the way, let's also note Ed Henry for a second. Did you guys know that?
Do we have to?
Yeah, Ed Henry used to be the head of the White House correspondence. So in DC, they were like, Ed Henry, such an objective, wonderful journalist, they used to all say. All of them, okay? And he worked on multiple cable news networks. And now look at him. He's on Newsmax going, oh, those poor Capitol rioters. I can't believe they're being persecuted for attacking America, that's all. He was never objective. He was conservative, as a lot of reporters in DC are. And the minute he gets paid to reveal who he actually is, all of a sudden that's Ed Henry right there. And to Carrie Lake, as Anna pointed out, Donald Trump could have gotten Whalen released. Whalen was captured in 2018. So, and your big daddy, who you vacuumed the carpet for, did nothing bupkis to get him released. So why aren't you saying that?
Because daddy can do no wrong.
Oh yeah. So wait, under your logic, wasn't Donald Trump a miserable, miserable failure for those 2 years as he couldn't get Whalen released? And of course, Trump being the biggest racist in the Republican Party, as one of our members on YouTube, Bean, pointed out, Trump said she was, quote, loaded up with drugs, okay? That's what he said about, instead of saying, hey, how can I help? Because former presidents have gotten people released before, and vice presidents as well. Clinton has, Gore has, Carter has, right? Meanwhile, Trump's sitting in Mar-a-Lago going, oh yeah, she's loaded up with drugs. Screw her, go Russia, we're to kidnap her, Russia. Of course, because Trump also loves Russia more than America. We should have sent him in the prisoner exchange too. You guys ready for the last bit of irony here? Karyn Turk, who was complaining about what a criminal Griner is, in 2020 served a month in prison for being convicted of stealing her dying mother's Social Security checks.
Oh my God.
Okay, and she talked about how Griner was entitled. A young entitled person. You thought you were entitled to your mom's Social Security checks after she passed away.
When aren't they projecting?
100%.
When aren't they projecting? They're always projecting. That is incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
And listen, honestly, right wingers, especially ones that moralize, I've never met people as a group that are more immoral and more crooked and more criminal than right wingers judging others. So here she is without a hint of irony or anything, or morals or decency, as she knows she's a crook, a thief, that, by the way, stole from you guys. She stole from the American government. Now she's criticizing the American government for getting out someone who was innocent.
An American, yeah.
That's right. That's who the right wing is. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.